Sunday's in a cardboard box and it just started raining. Yes, exactly. Or the cardboard's getting a bit soggy in here. And Cardposter's like, F you in your mansion. Why is he responding to Dumpster Fire 5198 in the YouTube comments, bro? As to content creation being a hobby and not a career, one asinine statement. What, dude? Why does he get so angry, bro? He gets so angry. Bro, this is like two autists fighting. Right, a never-ending escalation of anger. The $20 or so my hobbyist YouTube page puts in my pocket every week is still technically more than Sunday's puts in his now. Oh, dude, that's rough. Let's do a quick segment on this beef between President Sunday and Cardposting. That was quite entertaining. I saw them going at it over President Sunday getting demonetized. Let me have a look and find it quickly. Oh my god, dude, it is kicking off, bro. Jesus, these guys are going at it. So, long story short, President Sunday got demonetized on YouTube, right? I and others tweeted about it, including Nicholas DeOrio, which I was quite surprised about, because obviously there's no love lost between those two. But even Nicholas DeOrio was like, hey, this sucks that you got demonetized, you know? So respect to those that are willing to put aside personal grudges to speak up against YouTube. However, it looks like Cardposting had a different perspective, okay? Cardposting had a different take on this. So let's have a little look and see what's what. Our President Sunday just announced that his channel has been unexpectedly demonetized. He has my condolences, especially if he can't appeal it or have it overturned. Okay, so that's fair. That's fair. But at the risk of sounding like a bad guy, this doesn't seem like something the rest of us should really care about. I don't think you have to care about it, right? I don't think that you personally have to care about someone getting demonetized. You should only care if you've got some principled position on demonetization with these platforms, which is, you know, what I kind of would fall under. Or alternatively, if you like his content, you should be bothered about this. But if you don't care, or you even want to fucking have a laugh at him, then that's up to you at the end of the day. You don't have to care about anything at the end of the day. But, you know, for me, I would generally support the right of people to make money off of their shit on YouTube, unless they did something crazy to break the rules. And as far as I can understand, it was related to some old stream or something like that, you know? Some old stream, someone reported it. But yeah. If you're the absolute dredges of humanity, then I don't care if you get demonetized, especially if you championed loss of income for others. Sure. I mean, obviously, you know, like I say, you don't have to care about someone getting demonetized. But I would generally say that, yeah, unless someone had done something tremendously bad, I would generally say, yeah, they shouldn't get demonetized. If they've, like, explicitly broken clear rules in a very obvious way, then I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of on you. But I think that in President Sunday's case, it just seems like someone's gone back and found an old VOD that violates something and they've reported it. That's as far as I understand it. I obviously don't know why exactly he got demonetized. I think monetized creators who care about their monetization should feel compelled to care dependent on why Sunday was demonetized. So you agree that Dr. Disrespect getting demonetized for this long was wrong? Probably, yeah. I think so. I think because there wasn't evidence provided of wrongdoing or something. Although he did admit to it, to be fair. No, he did admit to it. He did say that he did something wrong. I think if he hadn't admitted to doing something wrong and it happened, yeah. But he admitted to doing the thing that he was being accused of. The trouble is, I don't really like that rule. I don't like the way that YouTube can determine off-platform behavior and are able to do that so readily and so easily. Absolute dude, this is so true, bro. Absolutism sucks because every dialogue tree is someone asking you if you support pedos. Bro, that is dude, that is so true, dude. Literally, you are correct. Yeah, it's generally speaking, I would not like YouTube to have the ability to demonetize for off-platform behavior in the way that they do. But at the end of the day, if you've got a massive news story kicking off about someone being a pedo and they admit to it, I've got some sympathy to YouTube's position that they don't want to be seen to be in support of that. So I'm like, I kind of get why they would want to switch monetization off. So funnily enough, even though it is him admitting fault and doing the right thing, despite the fact he kind of walked it back, it's like that then gives YouTube justification to shut his monetization down. But then the right thing to do is to not admit fault, and that seems wrong too. So, it's like, there's no easy answers to any of this. But I would say that, yeah, on the balance of things, I just don't like the idea that YouTube can switch monetization off like that, But yeah. Okay, just on the face of it, he's still got 21.5k loyal fans. He's still got a Patreon. He's still got plenty of other platforms he can stream on or upload to. And surely he can still take independent donations through PayPal or similar. He's still got plenty of ways to make money from his cushy internet content creator job, even if the YouTube ad checks never come back. Theoretically, even if Sunday had no way of making money online ever again, and he had to get a real job, that still wouldn't be anything to cry about. That's actually what most people do, have real jobs to earn money. See, I actually agree with this in principle. I agree that if someone's content creation career goes down the Swanee, then you've got to get a real job. But it's like, it's kind of like, let's say someone has got a normal job and they lose their job and they're like, oh no, I've just lost my job. That really sucks. Whilst it's true, okay, that's wonderful, that they would just have to get another job. Money off depressed people.
Not to buzzkill, but there's an appeal process merely included removing offending old content, but the process is annoying. Shouldn't be annihilation, though, depending on said content in question.
Thank you for the super chat. But like, if you lose your job and you need to get another one, it's correct that you need to get another job, but it's still going to create a short-term financial problem that you're going to have to contend with. And if someone said to you, I've just lost my job, it's kind of an insane thing to respond with, we'll just get another one. Well, yeah, obviously, you would just get another job, but there's a short-term financial impact that you are then going to have to deal with that's going to cause you additional stress and pressure. And I'm pretty sure that President Sunday is eventually going to find another job if he has to, right? Now, obviously, people online aren't President Sunday's friend, so they don't have to like care about it. But this idea that it's like, we'll just go and find a job. Yeah, sure, that's true. But that doesn't really take into account the short-term financial impact that he's going to have to deal with, Like, it's just a kind of like a kind of empty husk of a point. Yeah, just get a normal job. Yeah, of course, sure. And I think that becomes easier to justify that perspective if someone is having a situation where their channel is slowly dying. Because it gets to a point where you're like, well, yeah, you're going to have to get a job. You can see the signs. You've got clear notice that this is not going the way that you want it to. So you've then got to go out and search for another job. But with this situation, it's like that money has been instantaneously switched off, and it creates a kind of shock that you've then got to try and contend with, So I'm more sympathetic towards that situation, obviously being a creator myself that's reliant on my income. But if you don't care about that, that's fine. But this point doesn't really address the core issue at play here, which is that someone's income has been, overnight essentially stripped away in a way that is going to have a big financial shock on you, Sunday's plan was to cover Leicester philosophical theory and collab with Beckett into his late 70s. Bro, Sunday's younger than me, isn't he? To be expected to sympathise for a YouTuber. Okay. The question I've got here. Who is expecting people to sympathise for a YouTuber? I don't know if it's an expectation. And I think even under like Nicholas's tweet talking about this, I think that there was people who were saying, fuck President Sunday. And I don't think those people were getting like told off and being like, no, you've got to sympathise for him. Everyone going, oh, it's so bad, isn't it? I don't think that's a thing. I think that people are either saying, I think this is bad because of my principles, or people are going, fuck this guy. I don't fucking care. And those people I don't think are being challenged to, you know, care about it. I think they're able to just state their opinion that they don't care about this, and that's it. I don't think there's this dynamic where people are pushing people to care about this. I think people are either, I care about this on principle, or I don't care about this. And those people are both allowed to exist without meaningful disagreement, from what I've seen at least. I haven't seen this idea that people are going, no, you must care about this actually. You should care about this. I think people are accepting of people that are like, yeah, fuck this guy. Because obviously President Sunday is a very divisive figure. You know? It's like, I don't think anyone is expecting caring about this. Yeah, there's tons of people that are just like, fuck this guy. Obviously, recent drama, I think, led to a lot of criticism for Sunday, which means that a lot of people just don't care. And I don't think they're being challenged. Well, Card is in the right, but I'm like, who is it he's arguing against? I don't think there's people that are saying you must care about this. It's more like, I care about this on a principled basis, but if you don't, that's up to you. That seems to me to be more the narrative that exists around this. To be expected to sympathise for a YouTuber who loses.
Wonderful. But how do
Thank you
I
for the
make
super chats.
money off depressed people?
I don't like the guy, but if it's for a BS reason, then it could have a snowball effect.
Thank you for the $5. I'm at the position where I prefer if most people defended Sunday and say demonetization is bad, but I'll not be joining them. Well, yeah, that's fine, obviously. There is, I mean, you know, I've had my fucking run-ins with Sunday in the past. I mean, to me, it's water under the bridge. I don't really care anymore. But like in that moment when I was in the fucking middle of a beef with him, would I have cared if he got demonetized? Would I have done the right thing and been like, hey guys, come on. Yeah, President Sunday is trying to destroy my channel. But he shouldn't be demonetized. Like, I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably wouldn't have gone down that route. I probably wouldn't have been the bigger man, you know? But obviously now it's water under the bridge, so it doesn't matter to me. You would because you're too nice. No, I don't think, no. No, I don't think so. Okay. Whoever sympathizes YouTube loses their demonetization feels to me like asking someone who rents to feel sympathy for someone whose mansion partially burns down. Why should I cry for them when even after their big loss, they still have more than me? Yeah, Cardposting just comes across as a bit bitter here. Like a little bit bitter about it, you know? What mansion? I don't think President Sunday is in a mansion. Like, President Sunday is in, like, the equivalent of a bedsit or something. Right? I don't know. Like, I don't think he's in this massive mansion. I mean, how much money does he make off of YouTube? He probably makes, like, a fairly, you know... I'm not saying he's, like, not doing... I just don't think he's earning a tremendous amount of money. I don't think he's, like, millionaire level or something. Yeah, exactly. Sunday's in a cardboard box and it just started raining. Yes, exactly. And he's acting like it's a mansion. Or the cardboard's getting a bit soggy in here. And Cardpost is like, fuck you and your mansion, bitch. Fuck you and your cardboard mansion, motherfucker. Yeah, that seems like a more apt sort of analogy, doesn't it? I like Sunday's content, and he seems like a talented and nice enough guy. My newspaper pen is turning to paste. Oh my god, dude. Come on. Come on. I like Sunday's content, and he seems like a talented and nice enough guy from what we see of him. But with all due respect, I would have to recommend Sunday either call it quits on online content here, feeling a sense of gratitude for the fun he's had and the money he's made up until this point. And he can thank his audience for sticking with him this far and possibly seek out a similar cushy white-collar job in the real world with his qualifications. Or he can keep doing YouTube and or other online platforms, but do so for the love of making content, not out of the expectation that someone should be paid a full salary for making videos. Why? What if he can find a way to overcome this and continue to make content and make money from it? Bow out now or struggle against fate. I think that this is like a false choice. There's another option, which is to continue to try and make a go of it. And I just don't think this is taken into account that any loss of income source is inevitably going to lead to a financial shock that you've then got to contend with, you know? Personally, I just hope that whatever way forward he chooses, Sunday keeps his head up and remains positive. I mean, this comment is like not. It's obvious. If someone made this comment about me, I'd probably be a bit annoyed, but it's not like that aggressive. Like he's not going that crazy at him. And I think I've seen a bit of this already. Spoiler alert. But I think one of President Sunday's issues, and I speak from personal experience of this, is he will ratchet up something to an extreme. So he will take something which is not really that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, and he will like ratchet it up to 10, 11, right? And obviously me and President Sunday have spoken about our fucking beef and stuff, and we've buried the hatchet and long since, spoken about what we think we did wrong in that situation and move forward from it. Like, I don't care about it anymore. It's way past even caring about it. We simultaneously buried the hatchet in DK's back. Exactly. Bro, what are you on about? Dude, President Sunday doesn't even like hate you anymore, does he? I think he's come to terms with the fact that you just are who you are, I think. I don't know. When was the last time he said something bad? Dude, he tries to get you fired one time. Dude, come on now. But no, I don't think President Sunday, is like particularly concerned about you any longer. DK1. DK's been doing a lot of winning lately. But yeah, the problem is that, despite the fact that it's like something I'm not, obviously I'm past it now, he absolutely ratchets things up. And I think he like kind of looks at something and he perceives it as like worse than it is. He's got this insane energy, this like grudge energy, and he'll just fucking go at you like hell for leather. And I've had it happen to me. I've seen it happen to others. And it does suck when you're like the target of that, And I think that he would probably do well just to like take a step back sometimes and just be like, okay, let me just take a step back and just assess this a bit more reasonably. Am I getting het up about this unreasonably? Because I don't think that card posting is going that hard at President Sunday. I think he's being like quite direct and precise in what he's saying. But I don't think this is like that crazy. Yes, I think Stylo's got the right energy here. Card said, get a job and God bless you, and this guy's seeing red. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't need to get angry about this. You can make a comment about it, I think. But I get the impression that Sunday is like literally seething about this post. And I'm like, I don't think you need to seethe about this. It's insensitive. He's being insensitive, sure. I mean, he's still got his fans, and presumably he enjoys making videos. and seems like he's got a nice place to live. He's personable, so presumably he has a good social life. And he's got the benefit of living in a first world country. So looking at the big picture, it seems like everything should be fine for Sunday. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe you don't know all of that. But anyway, and I sincerely hope it will be for him.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Last time I heard Sunday mention you and DK, he seemed to imply some bemused respect for your loyalty and your shared tenacity.
Thank you for the super chats. It's not that you can't get this reversed eventually. Yeah, I think President Sunday will be fine as well. Also, I mean, President Sunday is President Sunday, okay? I think he'll be raging regardless. But I do think he probably feels the effects of the kind of pressure of this happening too. You know? Like, I think President Sunday will often want to present himself as someone who is, you know, keeping his head above water. And he's au fait with everything. And everything is happening as expected. But I think he does feel this stuff. And I think he gets a certain way about it. But he just doesn't, like, express that in his content. You know? I feel like if I was mad about something or upset about something, I'd just rage out and spurg out on stream for a bit, and that would be fine. But he, like, almost, like, bottles it up, it feels like, and then it just, you know, the way it comes out is in this, like, well, I think you'll see in the comments. I think you'll see. But someone in that sort of position of socio-economic privilege losing some of their income they get for doing undergraduate level poli-sci and drama streams from the comfort of their own home is not something I feel any sort of inclination to feel sad about. Who is asking you to feel sad about it? I've not seen this anywhere. Any person that has expressed that they don't give a fuck about President Sunday, I do not think has been challenged or told that they should. I think that's kind of like a made up concept that isn't happening. Okay. So we've got the backwards and forwards here. Do you like not pay bills or something? Let me explain some basic economics for you. I'm in my current housing based on established income patterns, in a job market that is plummeting and is about to plummet further. You know, all that stuff that's happening with our biggest trading partner right now. I likely couldn't work at McDonald's if I wanted to. Could you imagine President Sunday taking your McDonald's order? That would be quite an experience. Additionally, I have editors who rely on the money I give them to meet basic expenses. Not everyone is in this for the joy of calling Queeman. Whoa! PDF. Queeman reference. There are actually consequences for myself and others if my income just vanishes. So it's like, this is what I'm talking about, right? It's like, this is, what was the word we used? It's like insensitive. But it's not like any sort of like attack directly on President Sunday. And at multiple points he's saying, I hope things are good for you. Good luck. And he's like, you know, bitterly litigating some detail of some prior drama involving Queeman. It's like, there's probably a way to respond to this. It doesn't come across quite so President Sunday-esque, shall we say. And what is even the purpose of responding to this? Why not just ignore this? Why even justify this with any sort of response? Like, there's plenty of, I mean, even fucking Nicholas Diorio, the guy that you're fucking, you know, rat fucked a couple of months ago. Even he is tweeting out saying, yeah, this sucks for him. You know, you've even got your fucking enemies that are tweeting out in your support. So why do you need to fucking go after card posting for putting out an insensitive post that isn't really that big a deal? Like, it just seems totally unnecessary to reply to this. Bro, why is he responding to fucking Dumpster Fire 5198 in the YouTube comments, bro? Wow, imagine being so unemployable even McDonald's won't hire you. At McDumpsterfire 5198. You laugh, it's dire over here. Grocery clerk jobs are getting swamped with applications. Nobody can find work. For the record, looking for supplementary work has been my first move. I'm not a moron. I had no way to know I'd get this kind of support. Why do you have editors? Where do you think I'm posting from? The Tim Hortons you just applied at. Sorry, Jesus. See, this is the problem. You've got some burner account, literally just the default image. You cannot win a conversation with default image burner account, okay? They're always just going to beat you. So you're best off just ignoring people like this, okay? Okay, here we go. Anyway, this is what we want. This is card posting responding. At President Sunday. Sorry, but the idea that anyone is owed an online media career that lasts forever is laughable. Okay, at this point, they're just talking past each other. Who here is saying that President Sunday is owed an online media career that lasts forever? I don't think anyone is saying that at any point. President Sunday is just pointing out that this income disappearing overnight is, you know, or over the next month, whatever it is going to present an issue that he's going to have to deal with. This is autism wars. This is literally autism wars that we're doing right now, right? And regardless of whatever your country's economy is doing right now, you can't expect that anyone should feel any sympathy just because you've been knocked down from your position of relative luxury to the same level normal folks are already at. By the way, I don't think that this instantaneous thing is like the same level normal folks are already at, right? Normal folks, generally that would, to me, seem like someone that's got a job and has got a regular income coming in. So losing this income is putting him in a lower position than that, in that he doesn't have an income now. Do you see what I mean? I agree with the get to work stuff, sure. And I think I'd be more, you know, sympathetic to this if it was like, over time his channel had died off and he tried to get support and it hadn't worked. And at that point, months and months down the line, he hadn't taken any action and his channel had slowly died off. At that point, I would be like, well, yeah, that makes more sense that, you know, you can't hold on to it if it's not going to work. It's the immediacy and the fact it's kind of happened like that and seemingly happened, from what I've heard, for like unreasonable or unfair reasoning. You know, it's like, it's apparently for an old VOD. And it doesn't seem to be that he's done something specific or explicit that definitively justifies this. It's like some old VOD that someone reported, you know? So it just feels like, whilst I agree in principle that you need to get a job if your YouTube channel isn't working out, in this situation, it's the immediacy that people aren't giving kind of credit for, you know?
It's obvious what's happened. President Sunday was demoted to Cashier Sunday, but he can't find work because he's applied to Chick-fil-A. They aren't open on Sundays.
Thank you for the $10, Nicholas. So at this point, right, President Sunday is getting unreasonably upset at some of these comments, but card posting is not really addressing the core point here. It's like he's addressing a point that he thinks people are making, and I don't think people are making that point. I don't think anyone is out there saying President Sunday is owed an indefinite media career. It's just some people are saying my principles mean that I must say that this is wrong. But others are saying, I don't care, and that's fine too. Right? That is what is happening. And there's this imagined narrative that people are saying that President Sunday is owed a media career. You know? Regardless of whatever your country's economy is doing right now. Oh, we've got a bit already. No one is saying you should be left destitute and lying in the gutter. But hopefully you'll have saved up enough over the time you've been fruitfully doing YouTube that it can tide you over until you find something else. At the end of the day, making YouTube videos is a hobby. It's not something you can reasonably expect or financially sustain someone, especially not if you're racking up expenses paying people to help you make videos. Well, this is a very retarded comment, right? I mean, of course, if everyone had this attitude that it's just a hobby, YouTube would not have the content that it does on it today, because no one would be going out on a limb to produce, you know, repeated content or like regular content. They'd just be doing it as a side hustle. So I just don't agree that it's like just a hobby. It's a hobby if you treat it like a hobby, or it's only a hobby in itself, like you only make videos occasionally. But if you make enough money that you can draw a meaningful income from it, then it's not a hobby anymore. You know? It's a part-time thing or a full-time thing. Yes, I know. Yes, there was a bike. I know, yes. So, I mean, like, from a hobbyist perspective, yeah, doing YouTube is a hobby. But when you're doing it on a, you know, professional basis, I say professional, that gives a certain impression. What I really mean is, you are drawing meaningful income from doing it. It then becomes a job. It then becomes, you know, a revenue generating exercise that you can sustain yourself from. So it's like, yeah, it can be more than a hobby. It's just quite rare. Yeah, professional just means you make a living from it, sure. Obviously, it doesn't speak to the quality of what you do. It just means that you know, are reliant on the income that you make from it for a living, you know? Nobody said anything about being owed an online career. You're responding to your own imagination. That I agree with, that's true. As to content creation being a hobby and not a career, one asinine statement. Bro. What, dude, why does he get so angry, bro? He gets so angry. I don't think it needs to be at this level. What an asinine statement. Bro, this guy is so angry all the time, bro. If I do something for the purpose of income, it brings that income, and I build my material existence around it and employ people, then that's my job. Nobody is demanding your sympathy. This post is simply out of touch and screams resentment. See, I wouldn't have put it on card posting to be like resentful about this stuff. I thought he was a bit more grounded than that. But then comments like, you know, about the mansion, you know, the mansion burning down. It's like, it just comes, you know, it just comes across as very resentful. The hobby comment. I wouldn't have thought he'd have cared about this. But does he? Does he like care about this? Does he want to do this? Is that the problem? Is he's not achieving like a meaningful income out of it, and others that are experiencing problems? I don't know. It just feels really odd that he's taking these sort of tacks and these lines with it. You know? Incredibly based, holy. Okay. Firstly, you're implicitly saying you ought to have an online media career. You're treating this demonetization like it's a horrible tragedy you'll desperately ask people to save you from the consequences of by bailing you out through Patreon and so on. Your foundational premise is that you making videos and being comfortably remunerated for it is something that ought to continue, whether because it would continue to sustain the lifestyle you're used to, or because you've made the perhaps foolish decision to allow others to become financially dependent on your continued video making too. This framing seems excessive. I mean, the thing is like, I don't know what President Sunday's channel is making, right? I can't see his income figures or something like that. Chud call out. I mean, well, yeah, sure. I mean, it's obviously, it would be utterly insane to act like it's foolish when you're making, you know, a meaningful income off of a YouTube channel, to act like it's a stupid decision to pay people from that when, you know, that further adds to the money that you're then making from the channel, and you've got someone that can focus on doing a task that you don't want to do. You know? So it's like, it depends on how much money Sunday is making. If Sunday is like barely scraping by. Chud, isn't it reasonable that you have a bias towards creators because you yourself are one? Well, that's one way of looking at it. But also, I know how much money I make, right? And I recognize, like, I earn more money now than I've ever worked working a normal job. And the downside of that is that, of course, it's somewhat fleeting. And there could be something that happens that completely strips it away from me. But does that mean that I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing now? Well, that would be foolish. It would be foolish to not engage in behavior that maximizes the income that I'm making from doing this. Like, why would I not do that? That would be utterly insane to not do the things to maximize my income just because it's in some ways fleeting and it could be gone at any moment. Like, as much as people like to, you know, laugh about creative work and stuff, like, this is a business. Like, I'm running a business and there's obviously risks that come with being self-employed. One of those risks is if business dries up or there's a supplier issue or there's some sort of thing outside of your control that happens, then that can mean the end of your business, right? The business of slop. Yes, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that I would, if President Sunday was earning a pittance and barely scraping by, I think I'd be more inclined to agree with Card, because obviously if you're trying to make, you know, like barely anything happen off of a very limited income, I can understand that you'd be skeptical of that and be like, that's kind of dumb. Like, there's people that have done this where they've switched to a career in content creation and they're not making any money. And it's like, well, that's dumb. You're stupid on your part. But if President Sunday is earning like a decent amount of money off of it, and he's paying people to either free his time up to do other things, or because it adds further contribution to the pot, like, that's the correct decision.
Okay, that's wonderful.
That's the right thing to do.
How do I make money off depressed people?
It's about the viability of the platform for a diverse range of perspectives and the chilling effects this could have on others engaging in criticism.
Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, sure, I agree with that. So, yeah, I think that card posting is viewing President Sunday's actions in like the most negative terms here. Whereas if he's making enough money doing this, then it makes sense that he would want to take people on. I think the point at which I'm like, okay, I can see where he's coming from is this part. Like, if you're saying, please give money to my Patreon, otherwise I'm fucked. That does give, I think there is an implication there that I ought to be able to continue doing this, right? So I can see his point there. But I just think this stuff here about the foolish decision about people becoming financially dependent on your continued video making. If you are making money off of it enough that you can pay someone else to do it, you make good money, they make good money. Why would you not do that? That's the right thing to do. Even if your channel goes down the Swanee, why not make the money whilst you're making it, you know? Yeah, it's quite condescending. And, you know, yeah, it's like, well, would that apply to me? Like, that would be an utterly bizarre concept that I wouldn't, you know, have DK on. And I wouldn't maximize the income that I'm drawing from this channel, you know? Yeah, it's like, yeah, Card acts like he's better than other people because he hasn't made it on YouTube. I mean, it comes across like that, right? And it's like, bro, like, you don't even know what you're fucking talking about, dude. You're literally a fucking amateur. You're literally a hobbyist. And that's fine, but it just seems insane that you're then going to try and lecture others who are doing this professionally on how they should and shouldn't run it. And I would totally agree with him if Card Posting was talking to President Sunday about a slow detriment to his channel. But this is like an overnight immediate thing that he's trying to deal with, which I think is a different, you know, dynamic. It's an unexpected issue rather than a predictable outcome of someone's channel slowly decreasing over time. Something like that, you know? Anyway, as for thinking I'm the out of touch one here, you couldn't be further off the mark. Ask 100 random people on the street. 99 of them will correctly tell you that you should not hinge a substantial part of your quality of life on making YouTube videos. That's because people are fucking retarded and they don't understand. They don't understand how to do content. I mean, the amount of times I've had to, bro, the amount of times I've spoken to people and I just tell them what I do and they're totally bemused and they're fucking clueless. They haven't got a single fucking clue about how any of it works. They don't even know where the money comes from. They don't even understand. Oh, you can make money doing that, can you? How does that work then? They have got no clue about how it even fucking functions and how it works or where the money comes from. So a normal person's perspective on, you know, a niche career in a niche industry is not really of concern or interest to me. Yeah, they got no fucking idea what they're talking about. So why would I listen to them? You know? Like, obviously, you should not do that on the perception that normies have, right? Which is, it's fleeting, it can go at any point, you can't make much money from it anyway. Unless you've got 1 million subs, it's not worth the time. Yeah, sure, from that retarded perspective, I'm sure they would think that. But without understanding the complexities and nuances of generating an income off of YouTube and the level at which you actually need to be at to make a decent regular income, then it's kind of a worthless contribution. Like, these normies think you need to be Mr. Beast to make a decent income on YouTube. And that's just obviously complete bullshit, you know? Okay, sorry. Jesus, I need to go to the doctor. So you make money from posting videos of the internet and people watching them pay you. Yeah, exactly. They don't even know what AdSense is, right? They got no idea about any of the mechanics of this. So it's like, why would I care what opinion they've got about it? They don't know what they're talking about. You're asking a literal fucking novice, layman, about a very specific type of career in a very niche industry that, you know, has got like a 98 or 99% fail rate of people that try and do it, you know? Okay. Here we go. I guess this is his last comment, and I think there's another post. I'm sorry, how am I implicitly saying I ought to have an online media career? You're actually just making it up as you go, aren't you? You can bait someone else. Good luck. Okay. Right. And then he's responding to Chad Alpha 7983. Right, okay. Right, interesting. And then Cardposting did another post as well. Here we go, this is it here. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my god, dude. Bro, another... More words! More fucking words, bro! Gotta say, it's pretty disappointing how President Sunday has reacted to my last community post on here, both publicly and behind closed doors. It's not just how he childishly or naively continued to argue that making YouTube videos is something you ought to be able to expect considerable financial... It's something you ought to be able to expect considerable financial for doing in my comment section, well beyond the point it was clear that we're at an impasse. It's also largely how a great deal of what he said himself on the matter is either incredibly blinkered at best or disingenuous at worst. Despite, also, the other problem with this too is any job is subject to risk. Now, admittedly, doing YouTube, there's a more direct risk or problems that can arise. But any job you do, there's always going to be some issue or thing that can happen. You can be made redundant. The company could go bust, could go into administration. There could be layoffs. There could be, you know, a multitude of things that can happen that can mean you're out on your ass, you know? Anyone can unexpectedly lose an income source. Yeah, yeah. So it's like why single out YouTube particularly Obviously, you can make the comment that it's more at risk and it's more fleeting in some ways, right? But yeah, it's just so odd that it speaks, I think, to this general perspective that people have on like media jobs or creative jobs. It's this negative perception of them that like they are more privileged than another kind of work. And I agree to some point. Yeah, obviously it's cushy, don't get me wrong. But the very fact of being paid money and then that money goes, that is going to cause issues you have to deal with. And I don't think that trying to solicit support, whilst implicitly, yes, sure, it is like, you know, suggesting that you think you're owed a career. I get that. I don't think that's exactly what's going on here, you know? I think it's more so like, if you like my content and you want to support me and you want to make sure that I keep doing this, here's how you can do it. But obviously, if it came to push comes to shove, Sunday would just have to go and work at McDonald's or whatever the fuck it is. He'd probably go and work in a university or something, I'd imagine, wouldn't he? Reading some books or some shit. I don't know. Despite his protestations otherwise, Sunday does think he should be paid to talk on the internet. And he's making the case that people ought to pay him enough to sustain his lifestyle out of a sense of sympathy. That's why he's promoting his Patreon so aggressively right now. I saw him post his Patreon when he was talking about his channel getting demonetized. Is he done it other than that? Maybe it's in the post below. Yeah, I don't know, man. It feels like President Sunday has like escalated and gotten very mad at this. And now it feels like Cardposting is now angry too, and he is like going too far in the claims that he's making. Do you see what I mean? Bro, this is like two autists fighting, right? A never-ending escalation of anger is now occurring. It's basically like mutually assured destruction. They both fired off nukes, autistic fucking nukes at each other, essentially. Autistic martial arts. The battle of the autists. The autism civil war. And why specifically make sure to mention in every Patreon sales pitch his ever-dwindling savings, his encroaching living expenses, and the people in his professional orbit who apparently rely on being paid by him to live themselves. Further still, Sunday's insistence that he doesn't know why he was demonetized is either a blatant falsehood or proof of very little critical introspection of his part this past week. No, I don't agree with this. No. When you get demonetized, they will give you a reason. No. This is like complete bullshit. This is a complete failure of understanding how demonetization can work, right? I have been demonetized before for harmful content. This was back in 2021, February 2021, right? And I wasn't given any reason. I wasn't given a specific video. I wasn't given a timestamp. I was just told I had harmful content. There was even articles written about this because loads of creators got demonetized under this. Right? And they don't tell you. They don't give you a reason. What the fuck does harmful content mean? That's a completely bizarre concept. What specifically is harmful? So unless President Sunday has got some information he's withholding from us, I can absolutely believe that he's not been meaningfully informed as to why exactly he got demonetized. While pedants may argue, no one can know exactly why President Sunday had his YouTube ad privileges revoked. I don't think that's pedantry. Isn't pedantry focusing on minute details that are not relevant or significant to the matter at hand? I'm being pedantic about the definition of pedantry, maybe. But no, that seems fairly material to the discussion, why he got demonetized. Okay. It should actually be incredibly obvious to anyone who watches his content, and of course to the man himself. The thumbnail of one of the most recent videos prior to the demonetization, How Philosophy Tube Lies to You, was just a picture of another creator on the platform, and a trans woman specifically, smiling happily as she's struck by a man. What? 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 He's going to go on to explain. What has that got to do with demonetization, though? You should see some of the thumbnails that DK puts out. Holy fuck, bro. Is that sort of imagery more than a little bit gross? Yes. Edgy enough to warrant pulling someone's ads? Maybe, maybe not, but I can't imagine it's a sort of content that wins you any points in the eyes of YouTube's TOS Jannies. But no reasonable adult, especially one who's been in progressive spaces long enough to know better too, can tell me that they can't connect the dots between publishing something like that and getting unexpectedly dropped from the partner program mere days later. Well, if this is the case, that should be made clear. I don't think there should be any uncertainty about why that is. And also, that would suggest to me that there's like an unreasonable influence there. I need to see the thumbnail really before I can really decide for sure. But I mean, I struggle to see how this would justify removal from monetization in and of itself. I don't see that personally. I need more information to be sure, but yeah, I don't really buy this as an explanation. Yeah, I mean, some of our thumbnails are pretty fucking crazy, to be honest, but you know, let's not worry about that. It's just the Batman slabbing robbing picture. Is it? Do you have it, Nicandros? I'd like to take a quick look at it just to be sure, but I don't know, dude. That seems like you're reaching for an explanation. Oh, of course. Of course. Sorry, for some reason I thought we wouldn't be able to see it. But we can see it, of course. Because, yes. Cut, bro. There's no way, dude. Come off it, dude. No. What? Oh, hey, President Sunday. I actually was informed about the reason for demonetization. It wasn't the Philosophy Tube thumbnail. Hence, the thumbnail's still up. Someone reported an old theory segment. Yeah, that's what I'd heard. Bro, how the fuck are you going to try and justify, or not justify, but say that's the reason? That's like nothing. Dude, if that's justification for demonetization, okay, I think we're in trouble. I think we're in big trouble, guys. Oh dear. Nah, that's, I think what it feels like Cardposting is doing here, because he's had this, I obviously don't give two fucks about this philosophication shit, right? It feels like he's trying to wrangle in his own beef that he's had with President Sunday in bringing this into it. I don't think this is the reason. I think he's trying to wrangle his own situation in because he's had some beef with him about this Philosophy Tube stuff. So, yeah, I'm a bit... Nah, I don't buy that. That seems fucking stupid, man. And he can't seriously blame anyone in Philosophy Tube's audience for possibly reporting it either. He should have known better as a professional YouTuber than to give them something distasteful enough to report. I mean, like, sure, you can just have the most bland, boring thumbnails going if you want. That's fine. And you can have no risk whatsoever. But obviously, it's like, you know, you've got to have fucking a bit of edge in there. You've got to have a bit of, like, something in there for people to click on. So I don't really like this idea that, oh, we've got to be so cautious as to not give someone a reason to report. Because, yes, it's distasteful, you could say, but it's not reasonable to me that someone would get demonetized for that thumbnail. That's an absolutely insane concept. And if that was the reason, I would, like, you know, I mean, it's just completely unreasonable. It's a meme. It's a meme format. There's nothing in there that's even that objectionable. And that's without even that's without even getting too deeply into how when you sign up for a YouTube partnership.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do
Thank
I
you for the
make
super
money
chats.
off depressed people?
I only click on thumbnails that call streamers rapists.
Based. Thank you for the super chats. And that's why I'm getting too deeply into how when you sign up for a YouTube partnership, you explicitly acknowledge that you can have your partnership terminated at any time for any reason. So if you want to make a career out of YouTube, it would be wise to have a backup plan just in case. But I digress. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Having a backup plan is good. Having other platforms that are monetized is good. You know, thinking about like Kick or Twitch or something so that you've at least got a place to draw in some income, even if it's lesser. That's fair. But I digress. More to the point, Sunday's public-facing comments throughout this entire episode just strike me as incredibly short-sighted or incredibly dishonest. But even worse, I think, is how he decided to react to my recent simple criticism of his actions in less public spaces like the echo chamber of his personal Discord. Oh, we've been here before. President Sunday's personal Discord spurging. Now we're talking. Despite presenting himself as being at least civil in receiving criticism, in his server, see the embed below, Sunday was actually going off on something of a deranged rant until about 4 AM his local time. What? President Sunday would never do anything like that. There's no way. I don't believe it. There's no way, bro. Where he, projecting heavily, told his fans I was merely being resentful of other success of YouTube. Which is pretty hilarious given that I thoroughly denounced the very idea anyone should aspire to being a careerist YouTube star at every possible opportunity. See, the problem is like he's saying this here, but there were comments that he was making that made it seem like maybe he was a bit jealous. But if that's true, I mean, maybe he's not. Maybe he genuinely is just giving his kind of takes about it, you know? But the fact he was talking about the mansion thing, there's a couple of other comments that just made it seem like he was a bit bitter, a bit jealous, possibly. But sure, maybe that's wrong. Maybe he is genuinely just giving his takes. And I take YouTube so casually that a couple of days ago, I even announced a 2-month hiatus from making videos on here. And also, as it stands, the $20 or so my hobbyist YouTube page puts in my pocket every week is still technically more than Sunday's puts in his now. Oh, dude, that's rough. Bro. That is, dude. That's tough, man. Why is he being so mean? What the fuck? That is vicious, dude. So if I'm envious of anyone on here, it's certainly not him. Fuck me. Bro, this autism battle is reaching insanely bitter heights here. Further still, I'm astounded how Sunday, despite presenting himself as above such petty squabbles, opted to whip his server into a 2-minute hate against me. And his strongest soldiers happily called me a psycho, a C-word, an anti-Semite, okay, and a sociopath for his amusement. All because I had the gall to suggest being a 100 concurrent drama streamer would not be a viable career forever. Oh. But don't let it be said that I won't choose to take the high road here. I won't sink to his fans' level by calling him any similar derogatory things back. And I still sincerely hope that Sunday finds a source of income soon, if only so he can pay his editors who apparently rely on him to make ends meet, or so his poor financial instincts up to this point don't leave him and his partner unhoused. Oh, dude! Oh. He's getting very personal here. Jesus. Bro. Takes me back. Takes me back to 2022. Dude. I remember being like this about President Sunday. I remember. Difficult to see myself in that mindset now, but I get it, okay? When the autistic cruise missile is pointing at your city, you're gonna fucking, you're gonna talk some shit, okay? But I will say this. Feeling entitled to a never-ending, cushy online job is still incredibly immature, unrealistic, and extremely out of touch with anything approaching what I would call a serious left-wing worldview. And speaking as someone with a real job in academia, the way Sunday has been acting, publicly or otherwise, is incredibly unbecoming of someone who aspires to a career as a serious public intellectual. Oof. President Sunday gets madly autistic. That's it. It's not that fucking deep, okay? President Sunday has poor anger regulation, and he gets very frustrated and just goes insane. I've seen it happen to me. I've seen it happen to others. That's what's going on here, okay? It literally is that simple. And also, yes, true. 2025 public intellectuals are all like Sunday. Yes. Bro, have you seen the intellectuals online? They go fucking ballistic. Man, this guy actually sucks. People who do content are privileged and should just go work in retail if their monetization gets hindered. Well, let's read the comments in fairness and see what he sounds like here. Comment is fine, but nowhere did I tell anyone that their future depends on my channel staying afloat. I make content people like, and I need their help to keep it going since the measures under my control to sustain it have been temporarily disrupted. Yeah, this is the thing. Is there any evidence of him banging on about his like editors and stuff? Because I've got to be honest with you, I haven't seen that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but the way that President Sunday has gone about this doesn't seem to be like, oh, my poor editors, please help me or my editors are going to starve. It just seems like more so, hey, you know, this has fucked me over. There are people that rely on the income from the channel. If you want to support the channel to continue on like it is, support me here. Like I feel like Cardposting is presenting this image of President Sunday being more aggressively beggy than I think he has been. That's what I feel like. That's what I think. But let's read these. Maybe I'm wrong. But nowhere did I tell anyone that their future depends on my channel staying afloat. I make content people like, and I need their help to keep it going since the measures under my control to sustain it have been temporarily disrupted. So it just feels like he's resentful that his creations have pulled a viewership, which is fair. I generally like his content. This is pathetic though. Wow, this guy's a bozo. Psycho behavior. I mean, is that it? Is that it? Oh, I've got to be honest with you guys. I've seen, like, you know, far better President Sunday spurgouts than that. That's quite limited. That's like nothing to me. That's like, oh, okay, he's just like, you know. Where's the actual
okay,
spurging?
Wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Pretty tame. Pretty tame.
Too high on his supply, and Sosa Cardposting is gonna send his Colombian hitmen to raid his mansion. You don't fuck with Card.
Bro. Yes, I remember very well the messages that you were sending to me. In fact... Wait, what? Dude! No! Who's got the image? What are you going to do about this, Chud Logic? What are you going to do about this, Chud Logic? Bro, the reason that was so... Dude, it's funny talking about it now because at the time it was so fucking irritating and annoying being in this dumb fucking beef. Frustrating. But it's funny to look back on it now. The reason I was so incensed by that is me and him were talking in DMs. And I was like, listen, man, I'm away. I'm on holiday at the moment, so I can't really, you know, engage or look at stuff, etc. Right? And he was acting like it's all okay. And then I'd seen he'd released this video. And he'd put up this card, right? And it was like, what are you going to do about this, Chud Logic? And I was like, what, bro? I've told you I'm away. What do you want from me, bro? I'm literally away right now. I'm literally away. Like, what? Nothing at the moment. When I get back, I'll deal with it. And it was all about some dumb beef with Ico. Some stupid shit with Ico. Ico had been upset about some thumbnails or something. Anyway, all I'm saying is I've seen worse from President Sunday. This is very tame in comparison. Okay? Like, there's not really much here for me to say. It's like, oh, he's just posted a few comments about it. Okay. No, Card is pretty out of pocket here. Methinks he is jealous, like the modern anti-Semite. So, as much as I was saying that President Sunday was spurging out responding to YouTube comments, I think the same thing here about, oh, Daedalus Media has called me an anti-Semite. Let me post it here so you can see it. Bro, who fucking cares about Daedalus Media? Who the fuck even is this guy that you're posting his comment from a Discord in your post? Couldn't care less about him calling you an anti-Semite, bro. Like, what on earth, dude? $5, literally, I'm not even going to bother reading this. Don't care about this guy. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Where's the President Sunday spurg out, dude?